What's going on, everyone? Happy Easter. Welcome back. Another episode of Sunday Night Spaces. Two-part show, just like we did last week, just like we're going to do every week here coming up. First half of the show, we're going to do some key takeaways from around the league, bring some sharp minds in, talk about the game. And then second half of the show, we're going to take a look at the Sunday Night Baseball matchup tonight. Have the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves. I know we have some passionate people joining the show, namely Prop God coming on and talking to us. We have Seth Lugo and Dylan Dodd on the mound. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But without further ado, man, we got Dream coming back. We got Prop God and Sosa may or may not be here in a few minutes. What's going on, guys?
Yo, what's going on?
What's happening, man? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you guys making some time. I know busy weekend with a lot of holiday stuff, except for Prop ending the show last night, letting us know that today is a normal Sunday for him. But
It's
yeah,
a
man,
normal day, man.
It's been a week, man. It's, the Tampa Bay Rays, we talked about them last week and we told people how much we like them, even though they hadn't played anyone yet, and they still don't have a loss from last week to this week. They're 9-0. But taking a look at the standings around the league, I know we have a couple of games still in progress, but the Rays, like we just said, still 9-0, very competitive American League East. The American League West, I feel like someone keeps saying that the Houston Astros are in trouble, and they're 4-6 here after 10 games, a couple games out of first place, but we'll see how this Angels Blue Jays game ends up. And then, of course, the National League at this point, it just seems to be completely clustered up in all three divisions. So, Prop, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go to Dream. Key takeaways from the week. Anything you want to share with the community, betting wise, fan wise, just anything on your mind, anything that you picked up.
The week has been pretty eventful for me. I feel like the prop market has gotten pretty sharp already, and we're only a week in. I've been pivoting towards team totals. I've had success there. I think I've only lost one team total bet, I want to say, within the first 10 days of the season. We pushed on the Red Sox today, took the over 4, and it was just in case we needed a push, and it ended up happening. But as far as team totals, I feel sharp there. Just the season in general, I got a couple things I wanted to run down. Freddie Peralta looks fully healthy for the Milwaukee Brewers. He looked great again today against the Cardinals. The strikeout stuff's there. The velocity is there. It's back and then some. And I think the Brewers, a team that a lot of people, including myself, were kind of down on coming into the year. They look good thus far. The lineup looks good. The pitching hasn't been a problem, in their history anyway. But the lineup actually looks good to start the year. Another takeaway, I had another guy I wanted to mention. Oh, well, you talked about the Rays, but Rasmussen today went 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, and he's what? The 5th guy in the rotation. You know what I mean?
And only his second year as a starter, too. This is a guy last year. The Rays were like, we need some more innings. Do you mind trying to throw a cutter? And now he's turned into one of the more reliable starting pitchers in the big leagues.
Yeah, it's the depth of them is insane, and that's still without Glass now being there. So the Rays, with the lineup hitting like this and the pitching that they do have, just continue to watch out. The team total has been a cash cow. We talked about being scared of it last night, and they went and did it all over again today. So, and then the Padres, winners of 5 of their last 7. Of course, I got to rep my team. You know what I'm saying? I said we was gonna go into Atlanta and win this series. I thought the Braves' best chance was with Strider. With Strider, we got them there. Wait, no. They won that game, right? They won it late, I want to say.
Yeah, they came back and won on a walk-off, but yeah, man, I mean, they're still tied for first in this division. One of the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers are going to win, so the Padres are going to have to win tonight if they want that to still be true by the end. But I mean, dude, people are penciling Atlanta into the World Series, and they have been since the preseason. They got a ton of steam on the futures market. I've seen sharp people saying Atlanta is going to the World Series. I've seen people that are just more fans of the game saying that Atlanta's going to the World Series, and to go in there and to potentially split or come out of there with a series win, that's significant. Whether you do that in April, July, or September, I feel like that's worth celebrating if you're a Padres fan.
Yeah, and that's still with these series with the Padres ups and downs, if you'll say, because they sit 5-4, but winners of 5 of the last 2. They haven't lost a series yet. They split or they won the series. So We'll talk about that game later, but the standouts for them haven't been who you would expect. Seth Lugo, who we'll talk about today, he was great in his first start against Colorado, and then Michael Walker pitched a gem in Atlanta last night. Those are two guys you didn't expect to mention when you talked about the Padres rotation this year. Darvish looked a little rusty against the Diamondbacks, but still that rust, he only gave up one run. We see the Diamondbacks pouncing on the Dodgers every night over these last couple of nights. So it's I'm feeling real upbeat how we are this far.
And you mentioned the pitching, but looking at the offense here too, Xander Bogaerts has been playing out of his mind. I know you've been on
even on defense too, and I know you talked about that, but he's even made some plays.
He has, but other than that, the guys who've been propelling this offense, they're not Manny Machado, they're not Juan Soto, they're not even really Jake Cronenworth. It's been Grisham, it's been Kim, it's been a collection of guys that have contributed to the party across the first couple of weeks of the season here. So if you get Soto going, you get Machado going, and of course there's another guy coming back April 20th who might have something to say when he steps in the batter's box. I hate the Padres. I do. I'll never be shy about it. We're gonna fight on this show and Loaded Bases and all the other shows about it all season. I don't like the Padres. I don't like the players on the Padres, but I'm not an idiot. Like there's a lot of talent here, and if they're gonna get contributions from guys who are not part of that big four in the middle of the summer and into the dog days, and it's gonna be a fun season to be a San Diego fan. And it's gonna suck for me to have to get on and do shows with you every single day.
Wait till we go to a game live. I want to see it. I want to witness that too.
Well, Dream, talk to us about what you've picked up throughout the week. I know we've been messaging back and forth, and there's always exchanging information. But Prop mentioned the team totals, and I know you mentioned that just before we went live here. That and what else have you taken away from the week?
I mean, honestly, I just wanted to maybe just like touch on a couple of points Prop made, because I think he brought up a bunch of great things that stood out, like the Peralta thing. He threw over 100 pitches today. That also lets you know that like he's 100%, and the Brewers are going to kind of let him go, which is a good sign for the Brewers and for us looking at props, to bet on him. And you mentioned the team totals, man. With offense up, I think that's something I need to look more to, because even the ones I'm leaving off are looking pretty good, and I need to shift over from maybe playing some of those first five unders to maybe looking at the prop market a little bit more. One team that like I really didn't expect is the Diamondbacks. I mean, they've been playing some pretty solid competition, and like you said, they're probably going to be at the top of the NL West after today. That's something that I never really expected. I thought, they'd obviously be better than the Rockies, but I wasn't expecting them to be, 500 or better. So that's a pretty big surprise, especially given their pitching staff. But they're putting up runs, man. They're stealing a bunch of bags, and they're a really young team. But I think Prop really touched on most of what I had, and I'm just sitting here tilting this Angels game now. They're definitely going to lose after being up 6-0. So that's not ideal, ridiculous. But I know the Angels are back.
Man, it's so frustrating because the Angels have so much talent. The last couple of years in the preseason, everyone has been, this is the Angels' year. They're going to the playoffs. They're gonna unseat the Astros, and they hadn't really deserved any of that preseason hype in my mind. They hadn't really done anything in the rotation or the batters to deserve all of the attention that they were getting. But this year, I thought they did some nice things in the offseason. And of course, Reed Detmer's coming out, and at least he must have contributed to part of this. I turned the game off for about 15 minutes before we jumped on, but I'm sure he contributed to part of this. But he had, I believe, 4 or 5 strikeouts early in this game. Looks like he gave up 4 runs. So he definitely was part of this. But 5 Ks, looked pretty good his first time out. The pitching staff overall, I think, has been much better. The lineup has been decent. They're still swinging and missing a ton. They entered play today. Their play discipline and their contact metrics were still not very good. But the division, like we were talking about, is pretty up for grabs. Houston, the bottom half of that lineup is still atrocious. And if they're not going to get production, like we said last week, from Bregman and from Alvarez and from Tucker and Abreu on a day-to-day basis, and Jeremy Pena, if those 5 guys are not firing on all cylinders, there's not a lot of other guys who are going to step up in the way that we just talked about the Padres. And even if you go look at the Diamondbacks, Dream, who you brought up, it hasn't been Christian Walker. It hasn't been Corbin Carroll. It hasn't been the guys who, if they were going to get off to a hot start, we would have thought would have been a big reason for that. Houston doesn't have anyone after their top 5. So if those guys are not performing, it opens up the division to everyone else. The Mariners, I think, are very flawed up the middle. It's very, very rare that you'll ever see a team compete for a championship or make a deep postseason run when you're very weak defensively up the middle at catcher, shortstop, and center field. We can have some debates, but controlling the running game and then at shortstop, I don't think they're very strong, and I think you're going to continue to see the Seattle Mariners sort of hover around 500 this season. The bullpen blew a lead today, almost blew a lead yesterday against the Guardians, so I think there's some red flags there. But yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off. I think we generally agree on most things. Like I think all of us collectively as a group. I think I probably disagree with the Astros. With you guys just, I mean, you're not wrong.
Disagree, Dream. We can have dissent on the show
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And I don't think you bring up valid points. I don't think you're wrong, right? They do have a weak bottom half of the lineup. I just thought their pitching would be a little bit better. And we're only like 1 or 2 turns into the rotation. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a couple more losses and then maybe trying to find a good World Series price on them.
Look, the Astros, I'm less pessimistic about them postseason wise than I am regular season wise. I think what's hard for them right now is the pitching is not great. And I think there's opportunities for them to potentially get better, especially because the Houston Astros, their player development systems are so robust and so refined that if these guys like Javier and Garcia, who I was actually very surprised got hit hard yesterday, if those type of guys come out and struggle in April and May, it's not a death sentence in my mind of like, oh, they're not going to win a World Series or go back to the American League Championship Series. It's more so just from a regular season perspective to me of if Altuve is not in the lineup, if he's not healthy, Brantley, it sounds like might not be back until May or longer, and then we'll see how healthy he is. Until those guys get back and until the player development systems take over and maybe the pitchers start to figure some things out, I think they're a very mid team. And we keep getting them at minus 200, minus 250 against some bad teams. We saw the Tigers go in and take 2 out of 3 from them. The Twins, the Astros haven't looked that great against the Twins this weekend. I know the Twins are a team that has legitimate playoff aspirations and can be right there with the Guardians to win the American League Central. But it's not like this version of Houston is not what they have been the last 6 years. And I don't disagree with you on the futures market of like, I wouldn't tell anyone not to bet on to win the World Series if it falls far enough. But like right now, I think there's so much opportunity to fade them on a day-to-day basis.
I think you're right. Because ultimately they used to be a team where you see them as an underdog and it's like an automatic bet. Right. And I haven't been doing that last couple of days. But yeah, they have like 4 almost automatic outs in that lineup. So
yep,
you're right.
So it will be interesting to follow. We'll see if Sosa joins us in a few minutes and maybe have some takeaways. I'm curious, guys, but before we jump in to the Sunday Night Baseball game, what do we make of the NL Central? Because Prop mentioned the Brewers. Dream, you and I have talked about their division winner odds the last couple of days. I already grabbed them preseason for a small wager. I'm thinking about doubling down. How do we see this division unfolding? Because O'Neal Cruz broke his ankle today. The St. Louis Cardinals have been wholly underwhelming in pretty much every way that they potentially could be. Jack Flaherty looked as bad as in his second turn through the rotation as he did in his first turn through the rotation. The Cubs don't have a lot of top-end talent. The Reds are the Reds. And Pittsburgh, the one team that has showed a little bit of early season promise, now dealing with an injury to one of their more important pieces on the diamond. Any thoughts here day-to-day going into the next week or on the futures market?
As far as a future, I mean, you mean just a division winner?
Division winner or probably division winner. Like if you had to pick a team that's going to win this division right now, who would it be? I can pull up the odds here and see what we have live on the futures market.
If I went the division winner right now, I mean, you would have to go Milwaukee. They check every box, lineup wise, and the rotation. The rotation is the key for me. Like Sosa's mentioned, the St. Louis Cardinals pitching rotation, there's no guy that you'll face that will strike fear in your heart, especially not even Wainwright when he comes back. I mean, I thought he would have hung it up after last year, but it's like to continue to come back. He's not moving the needle at this point in his career. So I think now this is a team we thought we would be selling by the deadline. We thought Burns would get moved after the arbitration went south, which I still think he could possibly be moved. But I mean, he hasn't looked good anyway in his first 2 times through the rotation. So I mean, barring any injuries, I like the Brewers to win this division. 7-2 right now, so of course it's still early. But you look at the Cardinals all the way at the bottom. Who would have predicted the Cardinals would be last in this division right now, sitting at 3-6?
Yep.
The Pirates, like you said, with O'Neal Cruz going down, that's tough. Brian Reynolds, he's a trade candidate as well too. So it's not, we're not too sure what Pittsburgh is going to be doing. Cincinnati, we don't expect much from anyway. The Cubs, like you said, I think the thing I like what the Cubs did this offseason, but they're not ready to go over the hump yet. You know what I mean? I think it was a great foundation that the Cubs set going into this year. Then they'll build from now. Maybe next year or the year after that, then the Cubs will be, back to how they were when they had that core set. I think that's what what they're shooting for with getting Swanson. But for right now, it's Milwaukee or nothing for me in this division.
Yeah, it's interesting too because the books are pricing this as if it's the Brewers or the Cardinals. The Cubs, they're not really taking serious down here 9-1, 12-1, and then the Pirates and the Reds, the books are still pricing as if they're extreme long shots to win this division. So right now, the prices have flipped on the Brewers and the Cardinals. The Brewers you could have got as high as plus 200 in the preseason, and now we see the Cardinals on FanDuel as high as plus 145. Dream, what about you? Is this a spot where you don't want to overreact? It's only been 2 weeks. Are you willing to buy in? Do you have any thoughts here?
So I did. There's gonna be a fire truck coming by. Sorry about that. So, going into the season, I thought it was just a 2-team race between the Cardinals and the Brewers. We know that the Brewers obviously have the pitching. Lowers looked really bad. I don't really know how many more starts they can give him. I don't know when is Ashby out for the whole year?
I can pull that up. Let me take a look.
Shoulder surgery, so he's probably out for a little while. But so I like Milwaukee going into the year. I didn't play the plus 200 to win the division. Earlier this week, I put in plus 150 to win the division, and that was mostly because I started liking the bottom of their lineup and kind of their depth pieces, and guys like Brian Anderson, Luke Voigt, Mike Brasso. I like those guys. I think they kind of improved the bottom of their order. I really don't want to. I wouldn't bet the Brewers at minus 140. I don't know if I want to bet them at plus 110 at this point. I think with the prices that we're seeing now, it's kind of the value's back on the Cardinals. They just need to acquire some pitching and go from there because their line they're gonna hit, right. They have a really good deep lineup, but I still think it's a 2-team race, and I do like the Brewers.
Sounds like someone's getting in trouble, Dream. Where you're at?
That's they're on their way to Atlanta to put out the Padres fired. They got a long way to go.
Just to update on the Ashby news, the local news I just pulled up from one of the guys. Looks like Ashby could miss the entire season. This is when it says in the opening sentence could miss the entire season, that more or less means the guy's going to be out for the year. If he does come back, it doesn't sound like he's going to be back in any sort of meaningful way, probably a limited bullpen role. So that is a blow to Milwaukee. I'm with you though, Dream. I really think the Brewers get the job done in this division. I'm not particularly high on the Cardinals, but plus 100, we talked about it in the preseason when we did some content together. If I'm betting plus 100 on something in April, it's got to be a damn near lock. And I don't think it's a lock. I think for the reasons you mentioned, the Cardinals bats are still impressive. The pitching staff can be improved internally or via trade. We've seen the Cardinals be aggressive in the past, going to get other guys like Arenado and even Goldschmidt, bringing him in. The Cardinals are not averse to spending. They have a passionate fan base there that is going to support the team. So I don't think the Cardinals are out of it. I wish I would have put more on the Brewers preseason at plus 200. I think that's where the real value was, and then continue to monitor this throughout April and May. But I think looking at the futures market here, and I'll pull back up the NL Central odds, these odds have flipped. This is a 10-game sample size out of 162. We are 2 weeks into a season that is roughly 190 days long, speaking in calendar days. So I would not overreact. I'm actually a little surprised that the books have reacted so strongly to the first 10 days of the season. We've also seen it in the American League East as well, where we've seen the Rays go from plus 400 to plus 145 in a couple of weeks. And I really like the Rays. I think all of us up here really like the Rays, but is that sort of market adjustment warranted when you've beaten the Oakland Athletics 3 in a row, the Washington Nationals 3 in a row, and the Detroit Tigers 3 in a row? This is a spot where like the Yankees were plus 110 prior to the start of the season, and now they're plus 155. Like it's not the Rays that you want to grab after going 9-0. Like that price is not gonna move much in the next month. I wouldn't anticipate.
So, and just one last thing about the Central, I think it was last August, you could still get the Cardinals at like plus 120 to win the division when they were only like a few games back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, I think you could pretty much take whichever one of the Cardinals and the Brewers, make it to plus 140 or plus 150, and then make your way to September and probably have both sides and could kind of free roll with that. But I agree with what you're saying about the AL East. When you had those numbers up, the number that jumped out to me was the Blue Jays at, what was that, like plus 340 or whatever that was. But yeah, I wouldn't chase that Rays number now. You can probably get a better number 2 weeks from now. So yeah, plus 280, like that's pretty good value on the Blue Jays.
Yeah, for a team that I think was like plus 170 10 days ago. So this is the kind of stuff, like I always tell people, I treat the futures market like the stock market, where you can buy and sell at different points. But I have my own parameters where like I will almost never buy or sell within the middle of a month. I like to reevaluate on May 1st and then June 1st and then July 1st. So that way I'm not allowing myself to overreact to small sample sizes or little stretches in the schedule, because otherwise you'll end up having bets all over the place and then you won't even know what you're rooting for and what's going to make you the most money. But yeah, all good information, guys. Appreciate some people joining in, some people shitting on the Dodgers. Michael Passo, appreciate you coming in, man. Making the D-backs look like World Series contenders. Said coming in as well. D-backs doing their thing. So Arizona's catching some people's attention in baseball circles, but we have a really exciting Sunday Night Baseball matchup tonight between the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves. Prop, I'm gonna give the floor to you, man. I want you to introduce this matchup. I want you to tell the people how you're feeling going into Sunday. What do people need to know?
All right, so the first thing you need to know is that the San Diego Padres are playing baseball, so it's a great day. That's number one. To give me the floor, I mean, we're going for the series win here in Atlanta. I do think we have a good chance of pulling it out. I do not believe in Dylan Dodd. Now, I'm not a huge Seth Lugo guy, but if I'm going off of his success as a middle reliever for New York and what I've seen against Colorado, I'm not the Rockies. I don't hold weight, in that matchup. You know what I mean? I'll be more impressed if Lugo comes and have a similar performance tonight against Atlanta. Then I'll take that, as a more of a standout performance than I do against Colorado. But I do think he has the pitch mix to make it work, especially with that curveball. I believe he'll get a lot of whiffs and things like that tonight. We know the Braves are not a disciplined team at the plate either. But as far as what I'm looking for, I'll talk about it now because the line is moved. But in VIP, we are on Seth Lugo over 4.5 strikeouts. We took that last night. The line's at 5.5 now, plus 126 to the over. At the 6, I don't like it as much there, but you talking about the Atlanta Braves lineup that has 7 guys above league average in K percentage, dating back to last season. So a lot of guys for him to choose from. The Braves are a great lineup regardless of righty or lefty, but they are Paso says unbiased. I'm being unbiased. Look. The Braves' success against righties is against lefties is much, is much greater than against righties. And then you got the Padres against a lefty who Bogarts smashes lefties. You got Machado good against lefties. Soto hit a bomb last night. I mean, I just think we're about to get rolling. I like the Padres team total. I think it's sitting at 4.5 tonight. What do you want my looks, or you want me to just talk about the Padres? Because I could go on for the rest of the show. You know, what do you want?
Why don't we'll come back and we'll let you have the floor on the Padres specifically here in a minute. I do want to just.
But I mean, I can talk
a
about the Braves too. But yeah, I'm not just biased now. Come on, you know.
I just to add to the Seth Lugo play here. I know it's a little small to see on Fangraphs. Just hard to get the whole leaderboard in here. But Atlanta entering play today, 25th in contact percentage. This is contact percentage overall. You can sort this as well by O contact percentage. Seth Lugo has shown an ability throughout his career to get some swings and misses out of the strike zone, and we can find Atlanta in here. I did have Atlanta here. 12th in no contact percentage. They haven't been elite in the zone either. You can see Atlanta Z contact percentage entering play dead last. And what that means is Z contact percentage is contact percentage in the strike zone. So a guy like Seth Lugo, who in his first start, you can see a lot of chases outside of the strike zone. You can go back throughout his career. It's been a little bit up and down with Lugo. He's been out of the bullpen. He's been in the starting rotation, but throughout his career, this is 2020. I know a small.
Look at that curve spin. Look how red that is. Look at that.
It was. I mean, and there's some hard hit percentage issues here. There's some things there's a reason Seth Lugo. It's taken him this long for a team to say, hey, we want to put you in the starting rotation. But that aside, a matchup like this where you mentioned, we'll go back to the Braves lineup here, and Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Murphy, even Rosario, definitely Ozuna, Arcia, even a little bit. Like those are guys who you can get to swing and miss, and it is extremely evident when you're looking at Z contact percentage. Like typically elite offenses will have really high in the zone contact percentages by the time the season is over. And that's just not the case with the Braves. It's by design. Like the Braves they're not a bad offense. They have so much pop and so much power that they're okay swinging and missing through a few extra pitches because they know they're going to be able to put the ball in the gap, put the ball over the wall. But I gave it out as well as a free play earlier today with Roto Grinders. I was on Lugo with the 4.5 over at DraftKings, and it was a lot of the same thing that you just mentioned. He doesn't have horrific splits righty lefty, so whether it's Olsen, whether it's Acuna, Riley, whoever, like there's an opportunity for him to get strikeouts throughout the lineup tonight. So I'm with you on that one. Dream, I'm curious on your side here. What are you looking at? Obviously, two very good teams. Any thoughts, even if you don't have action on this game personally?
Well, I'm actually right there with you guys. I bet the Lugo at over 4.5 as well. I'm more confident in his ability to get strikeouts than necessarily shutting down this lineup. So I agree with everything you guys said. I mean, the Braves were the second highest strikeout percentage last year against righties. Still pretty. I think they've cut back a bunch this year in a pretty small sample size. But I do think that Lugo can get there. And there are a few. There's like a minus 155 at DraftKings, minus 160 at BetMGM. So if you do just want action on this game, like risk half a unit or just something like that, just to get, some action along, with us here. Cause I do think that Lugo will get, finish with probably about 6 strikeouts tonight. I don't have really a strong opinion on the side, and I would probably lean to the over here, but I'm right there with you guys with Lugo.
Yeah, we have the scores and odds, their price comparison tool here, minus 155 on PointsBet, Caesars, MGM, DraftKings. It all looks like, at least the last time this refreshed, there's prices available here. So I'm sure at least one of those, like Dream just mentioned, is available, and you can have some access. Also, for what it's worth, this is their premium tool. They're projecting Lugo for 4.9Ks, which obviously if you round is closer to 5 than it is to 4. So they're anticipating him getting to 5 in this spot as well.
So the Blue Jays have now scored 10 straight runs. It's 10-6 Toronto.
This is insane. All right,
That's
brief
crazy,
brief pause from the Sunday Night Baseball preview here. This game was 6-0 in the 5th inning. Have you bet the Angels today? My heart goes out to you. That is brutal, man. That is a brutal way to lose a bet. Like you're up 6-0 in a baseball game. That's like turn the TV off, go do something else, and already like put the money.
That's like 21-0 in football. Speaking of that, while we were off, Odell Beckham is now a Baltimore Raven. Since we took a pause from the show, that caught me by surprise too. Wow. Just came on while we were live.
Wow. All right, and we're back. We're back. That's nuts, man. You see 10 unanswered runs in a baseball game. That's always worth pausing from whatever you're doing. But Prop, talk to me about your San Diego lineup here. Facing Dylan Dodd tonight. newcomer onto the scene. You can see his savant chart here from his first start in 2023. Got some swings and misses, seemed to control the strike zone relatively well, but he did give up a ton of hard contact. He's a former third-round pick. Anything that you've noticed from him, anything that you're expecting, just because I know you watch the Padres a lot, and they've had their struggles against left-handed pitching the last couple of seasons. What do you expect from them tonight against Dodd?
Yeah, I think it's key that you mentioned the struggles against lefties. I'm sure that was a big part of bringing Bogarts into the mix because he just absolutely crushed left-hand pitching last season. So I will look at him today. The 2 total bases could be a look. I was a little worried yesterday when he got nicked up a bit, but he finished the game and he's in the lineup today. I think he's even leading off. I was trying to fact check the
Yep, he's batting lead off tonight.
Yeah, so he should definitely get 4 to 5 attempts. At bats. So I couldn't talk you off of Bogart's 2 total bases today.
Prop, if you do give that out as a lean on the show, last week Sosa gave out Trey Turner over 1.5 total bases. He led off with a double. We cashed that on the first play.
Okay.
It could be a thing because I gave it out as well earlier on.
Cash last week too.
I'm on the over 7.5 hitter fantasy score. I can't use Prize Picks in Ohio, but I did take Bogarts personally over 1.5 total bases as well in this game.
Okay.
Same sort of logic there. Last season, 382 batting average, OPS over 1,000 against left-handed pitching. So I'm with you. We can try to make it 2 for 2, cashing a ticket in the first at bat of the game.
That'll be my look for the show. Then we'll go Xander Bogaerts over 2+ total bases.
Love it.
I'm trying to go 2-0 because we cashed last week too with I forgot what look we had, but we cashed on that Philly game. So let's keep it going.
Love it.
But I mean, just the lineup in general though. Manny hasn't had the season that he hasn't had the start that I would have expected from him. Plenty of time to right the ship there. Soto's been up and down, kind of picking up where he left off last season. So hopefully he gets going. He hit a bomb yesterday. Nelson Cruz has been pretty good, surprisingly, thus far at least, in the small sample size that he's played. Cronenworth just got the big new deal. I think it's going to continue to be the guys who you least expect. Ha-Seong Kim has been big for the San Diego lineup. Cronenworth has timely hits as well. And then Grisham, you could just place him anywhere in the lineup. He's batting, 8th? I mean, he's batting 7th today. He usually bats lead off.
Actually, they got him down in the 8-hole tonight.
Yeah. I see now.
Yep.
Right after Azakar. I think Bogarts will lead the show, and that's why he is batting lead off against a lefty. This is what he's there for. So, but as far as production, I still want to see more out of the lineup, though. I mean, they've been putting up runs, but it's like you said, it's not the guys who you would expect. So, but I think Bogarts will lead the show tonight, though.
I love it. So we're aligned on Seth Lugo over 4.5 Ks, still available, but like you said, with a little bit more juice at this point, if you didn't already grab it. And Prop and I both like the Xander Bogaerts over 1.5 total bases, or again, if you have Prize Picks more than 7.5 hitter fantasy score. I can't use Prize Picks in Ohio, just again for transparency purposes, but if that's what you have access to in your state, I think that is a decent look as well. We have
Josh Hader too, our closer. He looked a little shaky. We took him well, I don't know if you took it with me. You probably didn't because you hate the Padres.
I did not take that bet with you. Prop took Hader to lead the league in saves, and I absolutely was not going to place that bet with him. But
I placed it, man. I'm a good friend.
Yeah.
I placed it.
Yeah, he's a good friend. He placed it right away.
I'm not a good friend, Prop. Not when it comes to Padres stuff.
But he's tied for first right now. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't go tonight though, because he went back-to-back nights. I want to say so. Yeah. But wait, the one that had total bases plus 130 on DK CEOK.
Yeah.
We cashed on him in VIP commission. I gave it out with Bogarts maybe around this time last week. He was like plus 145. It was a weird line, and we could be setting up. It was against a lefty, so he could come through for us again. I love that plus 130. Man, if it wasn't, I would have unit on VIP. We had enough time. But we'll just do it for the show.
Appreciate that information, Sioka.
So I'm looking at the bullpen usage for the Padres. I didn't actually realize they used Hader back-to-back, especially this early.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to let Lugo go. Like, if
I wanted his pitching outs, but they didn't give it.
I mean, yeah, it really looks like they're going to probably push him to his limit. Looking at the bullpen, I mean, they used Hader and
Look at
Garcia
that.
back-to-back days. I doubt Tapia is available. No Honeywell either. Like, it's
Yeah,
not a
they're gonna need
great.
him.
Yeah, so they definitely need to get some things out of him. And I'll be honest, I usually kind of give people crap for playing same game parlays, like more than two, more than two bets really. But I just put in a little 3 bets in. I put Lugo 5+, Acuna over 1.5 total bases, and Xander over 1.5, just for some fun, for some action. Take a couple.
I was kind of thinking Olsen tonight, but I mean,
instead of Ronald,
I like Olsen against a righty. But I mean, Acuna you could take any day. I mean, I think he hasn't had a hit in what, two straight games.
Well, let's do both then.
Hey, relax now. Don't take too many people against my team.
I mean, it's just for fun. Plus 1,200. We'll put a little bit of
Oh yeah, that's nice money right there.
Man,
on that note, then
any home run leans. Paso said I would look at Matt Olson for a home run, and I also would look at Bogarts.
I'm pulling up the weather.
Just to be transparent, they won't let me do that. They're saying my maximum bet is $11, but my minimum bet is $15. So
makes sense.
We'll have to find somewhere else to do
that. Home run leans for me. Again, I've been tracking the birthday home runs, so I've been putting like a minimal amount on that every day, but I'll never seriously put out a home run prop. But got some people asking in here. The weather report tonight, not super friendly. We're looking at temperature around first pitch, a little bit over 50 degrees, getting a little bit colder throughout the night. Wind blowing in from left field, maybe blowing a little bit across the field towards the right field foul pole, right field dugout. It doesn't feel like a big home run game, but Truist Park tends to find a way to get the ball out. I mean, even early in the season, that's one of the few parks in baseball where I am hesitant to ever bet in under. Dream, do you have any thoughts? Like if you were gonna target a home run in this spot, let me take a look at Lugo. We can pull up Lugo's number. We can see when these guys have given up home runs. We have really not a lot of data on Dodd, obviously, because he just got up to the big leagues. But I'll pull up Lugo here. We can go back and we can look at his splits throughout his career, and we can see who has hit home runs off of him.
So I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar, if you're not Ballpark Pal on Twitter, with his weather reports and stadium effects. He has home runs at a minus -32% for a park factor for tonight in Atlanta. So, I'm not really that good with – I don't have much experience with hitting props anyway, so I don't know. I would honestly just stay away from those unless you just wanted to play one small for action.
Yeah, that's good info. I always look at the splits. Like again, I don't play home run props, but I know people like to, and it's just a fun way to, if you're hanging out with a bunch of friends, and it's like betting an anytime touchdown score. Like you're just waiting for one really cool thing to happen during the game. Looking at Lugo in his career, he's given up a decent number of home runs to both righties and lefties. It doesn't look like splits have been a huge issue. If we go back and look at last year, more of the same. Like maybe righties have a little bit better opportunity to get the ball out of the yard, but like even if we break this down year over year, like it's a pretty even split. So I think if we go back and look at this lineup here, just guys who are due. Ronald Acuna, like we mentioned, he hasn't been tearing the cover off the baseball. He's got the bat speed to get it out even with weather conditions that are more pitcher friendly. Machado, Bogarts, like going against a lefty, I think there's a couple of bats in the Padres lineup. If you're betting a home run prop, I'd rather have more chances at it. So like Prop mentioned with Bogarts total bases, taking a stab on Bogarts or on Machado, and maybe they get a fifth at bat when the rest of the team has only 4. I think that might be worth a look, but I would stick to the top of the lineup here. I think Michael asked that question. Yeah, if you're betting home runs, like Dream said, the weather's not great. Looking at it tonight, the wind's blowing in. The Ballpark Pal, like Dream said, it's going to be tough to hit the ball out of the yard tonight. But if you are, I would stick towards the top of the lineup. And if there's someone that you like to bet a home run, maybe you bet them on their total bases, like some information has been shared. Some of these total bases in this game are plus money as well. So if you bet 2 guys to get over 1.5 total bases, you might only need 1 to cash to make a little bit of money.
I like that the Olsen look. I just researched it real quick. He's 2 for 2 off Lugo in his career with a single and a home run. So did I say Olsen or did I say Bogarts?
You said Olsen.
Olsen, yeah. So I like Olsen for 2 total bases. And if anyone hits a home run from the Atlanta lineup, I like it to be him tonight.
That would be a Padres thing to do, though. So Xander Bogaerts hitting a home run off of his own guy. That does sound something like something dumb enough.
Padres thing to do is win games because that's what we do. And since Sosa didn't come, I'm going to switch to my Diamondbacks hat for him because shout out to those guys for handling business at home over this weekend. It was beautiful to see.
Appreciate you too, Mike. Yeah, we got rain sprinkling, Xander to score a run, Acuna to score a run.
I like
also
that.
on Xander hit and Acuna hit locked in.
Like that.
Got some action here in the chat. Push a T over 1.5 on Acuna. So if you want to join the community, join those guys on those bets. I had to slow you down for a second, Prop, just before you got too invested in the Dodgers.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It is like Sosa, man, to duck a show after the Dodgers have lost a few in a row.
Yeah, because in the DMs
talking about the Dodgers on the super run line, bet them on everything, 2.5, 3.5. And now
see my DMs from Sosa. All the Padres slander has been quiet the last 2 days. It's like I can't wait to get him on loaded bases tomorrow because
honestly, I kind of enjoy it when the Padres win. A little less yelling from Sosa and a little less back and forth between you guys. Yeah, that just goes on for a minute. Yeah, you guys get into it. It's always entertaining. But it's funny. We haven't, I wouldn't be surprised now if he just pops in. Let us know how he feels.
Yeah, like what's going on.
This is too much. For those of you who are just know us from the YouTube stuff, Prop hosts Loaded Bases on Twitter. It's a nightly baseball space. A lot of great information. We literally go through every single game on the slate between 10 p.m. Eastern and midnight every single day. We share some early information, some leans, giving people some nice starting points for the day. Sometimes we lock in some VIP looks right on the show, just like we do in Sunday Night Spaces, just like we do in some of the other stuff that we do. So if you're ever looking to support our work, if you're ever looking to just do something for those couple hours, really valuable stuff. I won 10 bets in a row, and then I wasn't able to join on Friday night, and then my streak got snapped. So I need to get my ass back in total bases.
I think my 2 losing days this season are both times where I didn't join the space.
That is true for you, Dream. Yeah, that's true. Your only 2 losing days. Yep.
So
that's crazy, though.
I mean, it's important, right? Because the baseball season is obviously long. There's 30 pitchers going a day. It's impossible for 1 or even 2 people to keep up with who this person's velocity is down. This person is a little banged up.
Yep.
It really takes a group of people to help each other out and to kind of stay up on all the news. So and I really appreciate you guys, and the spaces are a good place to share that information.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Prop. I really appreciate you keeping that consistent and keeping us showing up on a nightly basis. It makes it a lot easier when you can communicate as a team. And I tell people all the time, people reach out in the DMs I'm just capping baseball for the first time. Like, where do I start? What information to look at? And even more so than Fangraphs or Savant or any research tools, I just say, you got to find people in the space that you can bounce stuff off of. People who Dream is way more on top of spin rates and day-to-day velocity differences than I am. And Prop, you're way more into the first 5 markets and the team total markets than I am. And I think I'm more on the sides market than a lot of people. And I think collectively we all look at Ks, but it's nice. And it's also nice when you find someone that is pretty sharp, like these guys are up here. And if Dream sends me something, like if he sends me Lugo over 4.5 and then Prop sends me Lugo over 4.5, and then I'm like, you know what? I like Lugo over 4.5. We have a pretty good success rate when the 3 of us are running the same way.
Yep.
Quick question from Zachariah: is Michael Harris still hurt?
He's on the I think the 10-day IL. I want to say.
Yeah, I think he's expected back at around the 17th. And just one other note: it looks like some under money's coming in at Bookmaker and Circa and a couple other spots. It's now under 9 minus 120. So I don't know if we might see 8.5 before first pitch here.
Yeah, we could bring that up to money splits on this game. This is one source. I always encourage people to use multiple different split sources. Like if you're using Scores and Odds, also use VSIN, also use Action Network. and see if they're lining up, because sometimes they're not the most accurate. But it looks like on the money line, most of the tickets and the money on the Atlanta Braves. Looking at the total, it does look like. So this is interesting. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts here. I'm not someone who like lives and dies by the market by any means, especially in baseball. Typically, when you're looking at a market like this, if there's like a 48% of the tickets, 55% of the money, people will tell you that there's sharp money coming in on the over 9. Now, Dream, you just mentioned that you're seeing some sharp money on the under. Can you explain to people what you mean by that?
So I'll be honest, and I'll apologize if you take splits and you use them in your work. Like, everybody does things differently. I put absolutely no weight into those things. Like, they're literally meaningless to me, right? Like, we just talked about, you were saying how the Braves have seen sharp money, and the majority of the money, the line is barely moved. I mean, most of the sharp books opened at -115, and what we're sitting at Atlanta -117 or -116 at this point. So, like, there's been money on both sides, very little movement. But when you see like a handful of these sharp books and the board kind of lighting up and they're all kind of moving in one direction, they just got a decent amount of money came in, that respected money that's going to move this down. And that's why we're seeing, the 9 -120 from 9 -110 in the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. And to add to that, Liam, our UFC guy in our VIP, he's taught me a lot about the market, and I'm with you, Dream. I put almost no stock into it, but it is nice if I think something from the actual analysis looks one way and then the market supports that. But Liam has taught me, like, books, a lot of people think that books want equal action on both sides. They might want 50% on both sides. If the books are very confident, let's say in the Padres winning tonight, they will take as much money as they can on the Atlanta Braves. They will cash in on 90% of the public betting on one side, and they will be more than happy to do that. So if you see this discrepancy, like a lot of people, they just assume 70% of the tickets, 89% of the money. That must mean that there's a lot of sharps or people who are betting large sums of money on the Braves. It's not always the case. Like Dream said, if the line's not moving, despite the fact that there's 90% of the money coming in one way, that almost tells you more than the discrepancy between the tickets and the actual handle tells you. So we'll be very careful there. But again,
like all bets aren't considered equal, right? My 100K and someone else's 100K that they're putting in on a game is not going to be treated differently. Like, I could bet it and be like, oh, this guy's a donk. Like, we don't need to move this. Like, nice, we just got another 100,000 on a side. We're sitting pretty good. And then someone else could walk in and be like, shit, this guy's on it, and they're gonna move that number maybe more than they would have if someone else came in with that same amount.
Yep, I completely agree. The books have profiles on everyone. They know how often Dream has hit certain props. They know how often Prop God has been successful in certain props and in certain sports. And, let's say, MLB Dream, right? Let's just assume your best sport is baseball. If you throw 100K on the Padres tonight, that line might move based off of one individual bet from you. But if you bet basketball, and I don't know your basketball record at all. I don't even know if you bet basketball, but let's say you suck at basketball and you throw 100K on a basketball game. They'll look back at your profile and they'll go, this guy wins at like a 40% clip. Thank you for giving us $100,000 today. They won't move the line. They'll let people continue to bet that line and bet it more. And they can see the profile of this guy, MLB Dream, doesn't win at basketball. So he put 100K. And then let's say, Kamish also sucks at basketball for whatever reason, or he's been in a slump. Like, they'll keep taking bad money as much as the public wants to give them on a certain side. That 50-50 split is a total misnumber. So always keep that in the back of your mind if you are someone that looks at this stuff.
And just really quickly, if you are interested in some of this stuff, follow Jeffrey Benson on Twitter. He's, I think, the director at Circa. And honestly, he's incredibly sharp guy, and he's not afraid to share things like this to the public. Because, some people think all the books are out to get him, but he's actually pretty cool and pretty open to educating the public. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Great info. I'm pulling up his Twitter right here. If you guys want to follow him, it's at Jeffrey Benson 12. Doesn't look like he's someone who pays for that blue check mark on Twitter. That doesn't mean he's not real. That's great information.
I just stopped paying for it too.
There's people with 12 followers now that have a blue check mark. So it is what it is. There's going to be a new social media space that pops up here soon. I don't know what it is, but it'll be something that pops up. Guys, before we get out of here, we got like 7 minutes for people to lock in their bets, go use the restroom, take the dog out. Anything else that you guys want to touch on? Said that Sosa been day drinking. He may be asleep. He's not ducking the Dodgers losing back-to-back games. He's just had a rough one.
Well, I think Prop mentioned this in the in our chat, but we got Patrick Corbin visiting the Angels tomorrow. So, I mean, I know we don't have a space tonight, but I think it's safe to assume that all three of us will be on the Angels team total tomorrow. I'm guessing it'll open at 5.5. I'm just kind of hoping for some plus money, and that'll probably be the first bet I make for tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely fading Patrick Corbin. It's a holiday. After I didn't get to celebrate Brady Singer Day, so I'm ready for the next holiday.
Absolutely, I will be fading Patrick Corbin in some way. Big slate tomorrow. First game at 2:00. So we'll definitely have some information there. Loaded bases during the week. Prop posted on Twitter. All three of us are usually in there most nights. Just to recap the space tonight, we have Seth Lugo over 4.5 Ks. All three of us like that spot. Prop and I both like Xander Bogaerts over 1.5 total bases. Dream tried to live bet it on the show here, and they wouldn't let him.
I found another book. I got it plus 11.75. Yeah, a little lunch money for some action.
So Xander over 1.5 total bases, and then I'll reshare the weather report if you guys just jumped in here. But it is not looking very friendly tonight in the weather department in Atlanta. About 50 degrees. Let's see if this loads. There it is. Now it's loading. But it's about 50 degrees, a little bit warmer than that at first pitch, but getting colder throughout the night. Wind blowing in. Dream pulled up Ballpark Pal, and that they're very pessimistic about run scoring tonight as well. I know it's not the sexiest starting pitching matchup of all time between Lugo and Dylan Dodd, but we could be looking at a lower scoring affair. Bullpen, there might be an opportunity if you guys are live bettors. The Padres bullpen is absolutely decimated. Probably won't see these guys 3 times in a row early in the season with Hader and Garcia. Honeywell, even though he's only pitched 1 time in the last 4 days, he's had so many injuries throughout his career that I'm with you, Dream. I don't think he's going to get into a game tonight. They'll probably give him another day here. So we're looking at Tim Hill, Chris Matt. I don't know if you can you take relief pitchers in DFS? That might be a sneaky way to get like a really cheap guy.
I think you can. I don't play much DFS, but I think you can.
I don't think you can though.
No,
because if you could like Tim Hill or Chris Matt, like if the Padres do have a lead, that could be a potential save. If you have, I mean, fantasy lineups are already locked, but like it's almost a lock that we're going to see Tim Hill get into the game at some point tonight. So if there's some way you can use that information, go use it. We're 3 guys who don't play DFS. So if that was a really stupid comment, that's what we're doing here. But yeah, so Lugo over 4.5 strikeouts, Bogaerts over 1.5 total bases, and the weather sucks. So probably don't bet 10 home run props tonight. Maybe limit it to 1 or 2 if you're just looking for some fun stuff. Zachariah, appreciate you too. Appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight. Michael, one of our favorites from the VIP, he's been with us for a long time. Really appreciate you tuning in. And then Rain coming back with even more information for us. He sees the Angels team total over 5.5 at plus money tomorrow. We're getting plus money potentially fading Patrick Corbin. So if that's what you guys fancy, go get it. Hopefully Sosa's all right. We'll get someone on that, trying to locate him. But really appreciate everyone tuning in. We held almost 30 people in here live the whole time, which is great considering it's Easter Sunday. The Twitter metrics have been great as well, streaming over there. So really appreciate you guys. We'll keep bringing the information. We'll keep bringing the content and hopefully keep cashing. And definitely follow Dream, follow Prop. I'll throw their stuff in the description below. But
real quick,
you got one more thing, Prop?
Tomorrow, these guys are taking on the New York Mets. It's a preview of what me and Kamish spoke about at the end of last season. I tried to tell them the Padres are going to light Max Scherzer up tomorrow. So make sure you're there. The Padres will win. Yu Darvish is on the mound. And the Padres are plus, they're underdogs again. All right? This is recorded, right, Kamish? I'm going to come back and I'm going to clip this. Max Scherzer, who has not looked good this season, is going to get tagged by the Padres tomorrow. And the Padres are going to win the game.
It's a profile pick bet.
You heard it here first.
We're betting the profile pick here.
You got the Mets money line?
I'm gonna take it out of defiance. You say you got one more thing on the show, and it's that you're betting the Padres tomorrow on the road after they got to travel to New York after a Sunday night baseball game. That's just a defiance, but I'll bet it just to be on the opposite side.
That's true,
Okay.
Prop. That is a tough spot, man. They're not going to get out of Atlanta until what, like 12 midnight, 1 a.m. Well, I guess games are ending a little quicker now, but it's still a tough spot.
Yeah, and if they got to
so
fly into
maybe-
Newark, I've
okay.
never had a good experience at Newark Airport.
All right.
I'm not
so
a pro
maybe,
athlete, so maybe it's a little bit cushier for them, but
Yeah.
I'll take my chances. Mad Max gave up 5 runs, and Darvish will probably give up 6. That's
Oh,
what I'm
Darvish not giving up more than 3 runs. I bet you that.
You
I
let me know,
also-
Prop.
I also
You
wouldn't
let
be
me know if
surprised
you
if
want to
they
bet the
already
profile
sent.
pick on that.
I was going to say,
You
I
wanna
wouldn't be
bet on
surprised if they.
You want to bet the money line?
Yeah, give me the Padres money line tomorrow.
All right, I'll take the Mets money line, and we'll do the profile pick bet.
Bet.
All right, that's a good way to get out of here. We will be back tomorrow night on Loaded Bases on Twitter. We'll be back here next week with Sunday Night Spaces. Might have to be a different time because the team that I coach, we do have a game next Sunday, but I'll let everybody know and we'll figure it out. But again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Go watch the game. Go enjoy some time with your family, whatever you guys are doing tonight. Talk to you guys later.
All right.
See ya.